whispers of extinction. The galaxy had long believed that humanity was gone. For centuries, no human ships were seen in the trade routes, no colonies answered calls, and no fleets rose to defend their borders. Stories about the vanished species became myths told in academies and council halls. To many, humanity was only a warning from the past race that had dared to expand too far, too fast, and was erased by their own wars. But myths have a way of hiding truths. Far away from the busy core worlds of the Galactic Council, a forgotten star system kept its secret. A yellow sun burned quietly, with rocky planets circling it. On one of those worlds, shielded by thick storms and electromagnetic barriers, lived the descendants of those who had escaped the great fall of Earth. This hidden colony had been growing in silence for over 300 years. The people who lived there were not weak, broken survivors. They had adapted. They had rebuilt. They had turned their isolation into strength. While the galaxy mocked humanity as a dead species, these hidden colonists sharpened their minds, trained their bodies, and prepared for a day they knew would come. The day they would step out of the shadows. The galaxy thought humans were extinct. The humans knew otherwise. The Council archives remembered the wars that destroyed the Terran fleets. Records showed battles where human warships fought alien armadas until both were left in ruins. After that, silence. To the outside, it looked like the humans had burned out completely. The Council felt no need to search the abandoned ruins of human space. Those worlds became graveyards. But within the storms of the hidden world, the colonists had created something new. They had built factories powered by deep geothermal vents. They trained children not only to read and write, but also to fight and fly. Old Earth history was told as lessons, warnings, and fuel for discipline. The people grew with a single belief. One day, humanity would rise again, and when it did, no one would be ready. Their world was not easy. Resources were scarce, and storms destroyed farms and cities alike. Yet every disaster forged resilience. Where others would have perished, humans endured. Where others would have surrendered, humans adapted. And then something happened. A ship entered their system. It was not human. It was a small patrol vessel of a trade guild, scouting for minerals. Its scanners pierced the storms for a brief moment, and its crew picked up signals that should not have existed: structured broadcasts, energy signatures, even the outline of cities hidden beneath the clouds. The alien crew laughed at first. It was impossible. Humans were dead. Everyone knew that. But data was data, and the guild was greedy. They sent word back to the nearest trade hub. There might be something alive in the dead sector. When that signal went out, the colony leaders received it too. They had been listening to the galaxy all along, using hidden satellites and ancient relays, and now they knew. Their secret was no longer safe. The elders of the colony gathered. The great hall filled with men and women, whose eyes carried both fire and patience. On the walls hung relics of the past: old helmets, broken rifles, faded banners from ships that no longer existed. "We can no longer hide," one of the elders said. His voice carried through the storm-worn chamber. "They will come. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. The galaxy believes us gone. Now they will learn otherwise." Another elder rose. Her words were sharp like steel. "We are not weak. We are not lost. This is our chance. For centuries, they believed humanity dead. Let us show them we are not only alive, but stronger than ever." The council voted that night. The decision was final. No more hiding. For 300 years, their fleets had been forged in secret shipyards under oceans and mountains. For 300 years, pilots had trained in storm-filled skies. For 300 years, the hidden colony had prepared. The moment had come. Humanity would rise again, not as scattered survivors, but as a force that could seize a solar system. In days, The galaxy thought humans were extinct. Soon, it would remember why they were once feared. Asterisk whispers at extinction. The galaxy had long believed that humanity was gone. For centuries, no human ships were seen in the trade routes, no colonies answered calls, and no fleets rose to defend their borders. Stories about the vanished species became myths told in academies and council halls. To many, humanity was only a warning from the past race that had dared to expand too far, too fast, and was erased by their own wars. But myths have a way of hiding truths. Far away from the busy core worlds of the Galactic Council, a forgotten star system kept its secret. A yellow sun burned quietly, with rocky planets circling it. On one of those worlds, shielded by thick storms and electromagnetic barriers, lived the descendants of those who had escaped the great fall of Earth. This hidden colony had been growing in silence for over 300 years. The people who lived there were not weak, broken survivors. They had adapted. They had rebuilt. They had turned their isolation into strength. While the galaxy mocked humanity as a dead species, these hidden colonists sharpened their minds, trained their bodies, and prepared for a day they knew would come. The day they would step out of the shadows. The galaxy thought humans were extinct. The humans knew otherwise. The Council archives remembered the wars that destroyed the Terran fleets. Records showed battles where human warships fought alien armadas until both were left in ruins. After that, silence. To the outside, it looked like the humans had burned out completely. The Council felt no need to search the abandoned ruins of human space. Those worlds became graveyards. But within the storms of the hidden world, the colonists had created something new. They had built factories powered by deep geothermal vents. They trained children not only to read and write, but also to fight and fly. Old Earth history was told as lessons, warnings, and fuel for discipline. The people grew with a single belief. One day, humanity would rise again, and when it did, no one would be ready. Their world was not easy. Resources were scarce, and storms destroyed farms and cities alike. Yet every disaster forged resilience. Where others would have perished, humans endured. Where others would have surrendered, humans adapted. And then something happened. A ship entered their system. It was not human. It was a small patrol vessel of a trade guild, scouting for minerals. Its scanners pierced the storms for a brief moment, and its crew picked up signals that should not have existed: structured broadcasts, energy signatures, even the outline of cities hidden beneath the clouds. The alien crew laughed at first. It was impossible. Humans were dead. Everyone knew that. But data was data, and the guild was greedy. They sent word back to the nearest trade hub. There might be something alive in the dead sector. When that signal went out, the colony leaders received it too. They had been listening to the galaxy all along, using hidden satellites and ancient relays, and now they knew. Their secret was no longer safe. The elders of the colony gathered. The great hall filled with men and women, whose eyes carried both fire and patience. On the walls hung relics of the past: old helmets, broken rifles, faded banners from ships that no longer existed. "We can no longer hide," one of the elders said. His voice carried through the storm-worn chamber. "They will come. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. The galaxy believes us gone. Now they will learn otherwise." Another elder rose. Her words were sharp like steel. "We are not weak. We are not lost. This is our chance. For centuries, they believed humanity dead. Let us show them we are not only alive, but stronger than ever." The council voted that night. The decision was final. No more hiding. For 300 years, their fleets had been forged in secret shipyards under oceans and mountains. For 300 years, pilots had trained in storm-filled skies. For 300 years, the hidden colony had prepared. The moment had come. Humanity would rise again, not as scattered survivors, but as a force that could seize a solar system in days. The galaxy thought humans were extinct. Soon, it would remember why they were once feared. Asterisk shockwaves across the galaxy. The Galactic Council Chamber was a place of calm and order. Rows of towering seats curved around a grand hall where representatives from hundreds of species gathered, under banners of peace. It was a place where laws were debated, treaties signed, and conflicts ended with words, not weapons. But on this day, calm did not exist. A message played in the center of the chamber. The hologram flickered with static, but the voice was sharp and unmistakable. Asterisk, this system belongs to humanity now. We are not extinct. We have risen, and we are only beginning. Behind the words, the image of a captured guild station appeared. Human banners flew across its structure. The footage showed wreckage of guild warships floating helplessly in space. Every council member knew what they were looking at. This was not a trick. This was war. The chamber erupted into chaos. Asterisk, some councilors shouted that it was impossible. Humans are dead. They destroyed themselves. Others argued that it must be an elaborate deception, mercenaries pretending to be humans. But the data was undeniable. The ships, the tactics, the symbols all matched the records of old Terran fleets. One voice cut through the noise. A tall, scaled representative slammed his clawed hand against the table. If this is true, he growled, then we face the return of the most dangerous enemy the galaxy has ever known. The chamber fell into silence. Asterisk. The Council archives had not forgotten the wars of humanity, even if the galaxy chose to ignore them. Humans had once fought wars unlike any other species. They had refused to surrender, even when their fleets were shattered and their worlds burned. They had fought until the last soldier, the last ship, the last breath. No other race had shown such relentless will to survive. And now, that will had returned. The Council's High Speaker, an ancient being with crystal-like skin, leaned forward. His voice was calm, but his eyes glowed with fear. We believed humanity. Gone, he said. We were wrong. And now they do not return as allies. They return as conquerors. Across the chamber, whispers spread like fire. Some species demanded immediate war against the humans, to crush them before they could rise further. Others warned caution, reminding everyone of how costly human wars had been in the past. A nervous delegate muttered, if they seized one system, in days, what stops them from taking 10 more before we can respond? Another hissed back, what if they already control more? And this is only the first we've seen. Fear gnawed at them all. While the council debated, the message spread across the galaxy. Traders, mercenaries, and smugglers whispered in cantinas, humans are back. Guild lords scowled over lost prophets. Border colonies trembled at the thought of warships rising from nowhere. Even pirate clans hesitated, wondering if their hidden bases would be the next to fall. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was united in a single feeling. Dread. Meanwhile, back in the newly seized system, humanity celebrated its first victory. The colonists had expected a long struggle to prove themselves, but the weakness of the guild defenses had given them a swift triumph. On the captured station, human engineers worked quickly, repurposing alien technology to fit their own designs. Factories were restarted, supply lines secured, and the banners of humanity spread across the outposts of the system. But the leaders knew this was only the beginning. The head of the fleet stood before his commanders inside the station's command hall. The walls still carried scorch marks from the battle. His voice was firm, his gaze sharp. The galaxy now knows we exist, he said. They will come, not with guild patrols, but with fleets. They will not allow us to rise without a fight. So we must be ready. His words were met with nods, not fear. These were not people who doubted. These were humans who had trained for generations for this moment. In the colony cities back home, children gathered around screens, watching the footage of their banners raised in space. For the first time, they saw what their parents had promised them. Proof that humanity was not only alive, but strong. For centuries, they had grown up under the weight of history, told that their ancestors had lost, that Earth had burned, that humanity was forgotten. Now they had something greater: victory, the fires of pride and vengeance burned across the hidden colony. But not all humans were united in celebration. In the shadows of the captured station, a group of younger officers whispered among themselves. "We've revealed ourselves too soon," one said. "The Council will respond with fleets larger than anything we've faced." Another answered, his eyes cold. "That is exactly what we want. Let them come. For centuries, they thought us dead. Now they will learn what happens when humanity prepares for war in silence." The others fell quiet, but the truth was clear. There was no turning back. In the council chamber, the high speaker finally declared, "Send word to every fleet. The humans have returned. The galaxy must prepare, or it will burn." But even as the order went out, the council knew it was already too late. Humanity had not only returned, they had struck first, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The first clash, the order from the Galactic Council, spread like fire through the stars. Fleets that had not seen true war in centuries were suddenly recalled, armed, and sent toward the edge of the galaxy. The humans had taken one solar system, but the Council swore it would be their last. Everywhere, propaganda filled the networks. Humanity is dangerous. They cannot be allowed to rise again. The Council will protect us. Yet behind those bold words, fear bled through. Many remembered the records of old human wars. Entire armadas lost. Whole planets scorched. Humans had fought with a kind of fury no other species could match. Still, the Council believed numbers would crush them. 100 ships against a few dozen. That was the plan. Weeks later, the first Council fleet entered the newly seized system. Dozens of ships emerged from faster-than-light travel in shining formation. Their weapons were charged, their banners of unity glowing bright. On the occupied guild station, alarms blared. Human officers rushed to their posts as sensors filled with hostile signatures. The enemy had come larger, stronger, more advanced. The human commander stood tall in the command hall, his voice steady even as the enemy fleet grew on the screens. "So it begins," he said. "The galaxy thinks we are prey. Today we remind them we are predators." Human warships launched from hidden docks around the system. Cruisers, destroyers, and fighters formed a shield around the captured station. Engines roared like thunder across the void. The Council fleet hailed them. "This system is under Council authority," the alien admiral's voice declared. "Withdraw or be destroyed." Silence filled the channel for a long moment. Then a human officer answered, her tone sharp as steel. "We do not withdraw. We do not surrender. If you want this system, come and take it." The first shots were fired. Bright streams of plasma lit the darkness as the Council ships opened fire. Explosions shook space, scattering debris. Human ships answered with precision. Strikes, their missiles tearing into enemy shields. The battle had begun. The Council forces fought with discipline, but their formations were rigid. They expected the humans to fight the same way other species did, predictable, cautious. But humans had trained in storms, in chaos, in survival. Human fighters darted through enemy lines, weaving between larger ships and striking engines with ruthless accuracy. Cruisers launched swarms of drones, each programmed with aggressive tactics the Council had never seen. Battleships stood firm, absorbing hits that would have shattered weaker vessels. The aliens were prepared for numbers. They were not prepared for human fury. Still, the fight was not easy. Human ships took heavy damage. A destroyer was torn apart in a blaze of fire. A cruiser spun out of control, its engines gone, before vanishing in an explosion that lit the void. Every loss was felt. Every sacrifice burned into the survivors. But for every human ship that fell, 3 council ships followed. The humans did not retreat. They pressed forward, relentless, as if every shot carried the weight of their lost homeworld. On the captured station, civilians watched the battle unfold on massive screens. Children clung to their parents as explosions painted the skies above. Yet even in fear, their eyes shone with pride. They were witnessing history. For the first time in centuries, humanity was standing against the galaxy and not falling. Hours passed. Wreckage floated through space. Fires raged across shattered hulls. The once proud council fleet was breaking. Admirals screamed orders, demanding retreats, but their ships were already surrounded. At the center of it all, the human flagship advanced, its weapons cutting down enemies one by one. Its hull was scarred, its shields nearly broken, but it moved with unstoppable force. When the last council cruiser fell, silence filled the system. The humans had held the line, but the victory came at a cost. Human fleets were battered, their numbers thinned. Medics rushed through corridors, dragging the wounded from burning decks. Engineers scrambled to patch damaged reactors before they exploded. The commander stood in silence on the bridge of his flagship, watching the wreckage drift across the void. His voice was heavy, but unshaken. This is only the beginning. They will return with more, stronger fleets, larger armies. But let them come. Every battle they bring will only sharpen us further. His officers nodded. They were bloodied, but not broken. Far away, in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, news of the defeat arrived. The delegates stared in horror as reports confirmed what many feared. The humans had destroyed a fleet twice their size. The high speaker's crystal-like skin dimmed as he whispered the words none wanted to hear. The humans have returned to war, and they are winning. Asterisk humanity advances. The wreckage of the council fleet still drifted in the void when the humans made their decision. They would not wait for the next attack. They would strike first. On the captured guild station, engineers worked without rest. Alien weapons were stripped, rebuilt, and fitted onto human warships. Damaged ships were patched using scavenged parts from destroyed enemies. The colony's factories ran day and night, turning raw ore into steel, missiles, and armor plating. Council believed it would take months for the humans to recover. They were wrong. Within weeks, the fleet was stronger than before. The commander stood before his officers in the war chamber. A map of the nearby sectors glowed on the table. Dozens of systems belonged to minor guilds and weak council allies. They were rich with resources, but poorly defended. He pointed at 3 systems, his voice firm. These will be ours. We strike fast, we strike hard, and we leave no doubt. The galaxy thinks we are survivors. Let us show them we are conquerors. The room filled with nods. Humanity would not wait to be hunted. Humanity would hunt. The first target fell within days. Human ships emerged from faster-than-light, travel like ghosts from the dark. The defending guild fleet was small and scattered. They tried to resist, but their lines broke within an hour. Human marines stormed their stations, tearing through defenses with cold precision. Banners of humanity rose once again. The second system followed just as quickly. Orbital mines were hacked, patrol ships destroyed, and the main fortress surrendered when its supplies were cut. Civilians were left unharmed, but the message was clear. Humanity was not only alive, it was unstoppable. By the time the third system fell, the entire sector trembled. Trade routes were cut, guild profits shattered, and whispers of human vengeance. Spread like fire dot in the council chamber, fear turned to panic. Reports flooded in from across the border. Human fleet sighted. System lost. We cannot hold them. The delegates shouted over one another, demanding answers. Some wanted to send larger fleets. Others wanted peace talks. A few even suggested abandoning border systems entirely. But one truth silenced them all. The humans were advancing faster than anyone believed possible. They should not have this power. One counselor cried. They were gone for centuries. How can they rise so quickly? The high speaker answered in a voice of dread. Because they never stopped preparing. Back in the colonies, the people lived in a new age of fire and steel. Soldiers marched through streets where once only farmers and builders walked. Children watched training drills with wide eyes, already dreaming of the day they would join the fleets. Factories expanded, new shipyards were built, and the hidden world grew into a war machine. But this was not just about survival anymore. For the first time in centuries, the people felt pride, not just in hiding, but in standing tall before the galaxy dot in schools. Teachers repeated the same lesson. Remember Earth. Remember the fall. We fight so it never happens again. Not all were without doubt. On the bridge of a heavy cruiser, a young officer whispered to his captain, "The council will never stop. Every victory we take, they will answer with more. What if we go too?" Far? The captain's eyes stayed fixed on the stars. We cannot go too far. They believed us extinct. They let our home burn. Now they will learn the price of forgetting humanity. The galaxy reacted in chaos. Traders refused to enter human-claimed space. Guilds scrambled to hire mercenaries, but even mercenaries hesitated, remembering the stories of human wars. Pirates abandoned outposts near the border, fleeing before the humans could arrive. Everywhere, fear grew. The word spread on every world, in every market, in every whisper. The humans are back. When the third captured system sent its distress call, the council at last admitted the truth. A full war could not be avoided. The high speaker stood before the chamber, his crystal skin glowing faint. We must unite, or we will fall. The humans are not scattered survivors. They are an army. They are building an empire. But unity was easier spoken than done. Guilds fought over resources. Member worlds argued about strategy, and rival species distrusted one another. While the council quarreled, the humans moved forward. On the bridge of the human flagship, the commander studied the stars ahead. His fleet was scarred, his people weary, but their spirit was unbroken. We take what we need, he said quietly. System by system, world by world. The galaxy wanted us forgotten. Instead, it will remember our name forever. And with that, the fleet prepared for its next strike. Humanity's march had only just begun. Asterisk the Council's gamble. The galaxy had no choice. Humanity had seized 3 systems in less than a season, and more were falling into their grasp every week. The trade guilds bled credits, border colonies cried for help, and fear spread like a disease. The Galactic Council, once divided, finally agreed on one thing. A grand armada must be built. From every corner of the galaxy, ships were recalled. Massive carriers from the core, destroyers from the rim, mercenary fleets hired with desperate gold, every vessel was pulled into a single force. It became the largest fleet assembled since the ancient wars. The council called it the Shield of Unity. To them, it was the answer to humanity's rise. To humanity, it was simply another test dot in hidden command halls. Human intelligence networks listened to every council broadcast. Spies disguised as traders smuggled information back to the colonies. Within days, the human commanders knew the armada's size, its routes, even its chosen battlefield. The council believed surprise would give them the advantage. Humanity knew better. The human commander gathered his officers aboard the flagship. A map of the contested sector hovered above the table, glowing with markers of enemy fleets. His face was calm, but his eyes burned like fire. "They bring numbers," he said. "We bring something stronger. We bring will. We bring preparation. We bring the fury of a species that does not know surrender." His words echoed through the chamber. No one doubted. No one feared. For centuries, they had prepared for this day. Now it had arrived. The chosen battlefield was a wide system at the border of human-controlled space. It held no colonies, no trade, no resources, only empty planets and a bright red sun, the perfect place for fleets to clash without mercy. The Council Armada arrived first. Thousands of ships spread across the system, shining like a wall of stars. Their admiral's voice carried across the channels. "Humans of the hidden colony, you face the united power of the galaxy. Surrender now, and you may live." The reply came swift, sharp, and filled with iron. "Humanity does not surrender. Not to you. Not to anyone. If you want this system, come and die for it." Moments later, the human fleet arrived. Smaller in number, their warships cut through space like blades of steel. Scarred from past battles, but unbroken, they moved in perfect formation. Behind them, swarms of fighters and drones poured forth like angry hornets. The red sun lit their hulls as if fire itself guided them. And then the battle began. The Council's numbers crashed against the humans like a tidal wave. Missiles, plasma, beams, and railgun shells filled the void. Explosions tore apart space itself. Entire squadrons vanished in flashes of light, but the humans did not falter. Their tactics were sharp, unpredictable, ruthless. Small ships darted into weak points, crippling engines and tearing through shields. Heavy battleships stood firm, weapons roaring like thunder. Drones swarmed carriers, forcing larger vessels to waste firepower on small targets. Every loss only fueled their fury. Every death only pushed them harder. The Council fought with unity. Humanity fought with survival. And survival proved stronger. Ours turned into a storm of destruction. The red sun's light reflected off wreckage and fire, painting the system in crimson. Council admirals screamed for formations to hold, but humans broke them again and again, shattering their order. One by one, Council ships fell. A carrier exploded in a fireball so bright it blinded sensors. A dreadnought was boarded mid-battle, its crew overwhelmed by human marines who fought like demons and turned the ship's guns against its allies. Even when outnumbered 5-1, humans refused to yield an inch. On the bridge of the human flagship, the commander stood at the heart of chaos. Reports poured in: ships lost, victories gained, enemies destroyed. His voice never wavered. Push them back, break them. Show them the galaxy belongs to us. His officers obeyed without hesitation. Every man and woman knew this was not just another battle. This was the battle that would decide humanity's place in the galaxy. Not at last. After endless hours of fire and blood, the Council Armada began to collapse. Entire fleets turned to retreat, abandoning the battlefield. Their once proud shield of unity lay broken, scattered in burning pieces across the void. The humans had done the impossible again. Outnumbered, outgunned, outmatched, they had won. In the council chamber, silence ruled. The high speaker's crystal skin dimmed until it was nearly dark. His words carried no strength, only dread. The shield has fallen. Humanity cannot be stopped. We face not survivors, but an empire in the making. Across the galaxy, billions watched the battle reports. Some trembled in fear, some cheered in secret, and some whispered the words that now spread across every world. The age of humanity has returned. The age of humanity, The red sun still burned over the battlefield when the last of the council ships fled. Wreckage drifted through the void, the remains of what had been the greatest armada in living memory. The shield of unity was gone, shattered, by the very species it was meant to destroy. Human warships, though battered and scarred, still stood firm. Their banners flew over the wreckage. Their fleets had bled, but they had not broken. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy looked upon humanity not as a forgotten race, but as a rising power. On the bridge of the human flagship, silence followed the storm. Officers moved like ghosts, faces lit by the glow of damaged screens. The commander stood tall at the center, staring at the stars. He spoke at last, his voice low but filled with iron. Today, the galaxy learns what we already knew. Humanity is not extinct. Humanity is not weak. We are alive and we are strong. Words spread through every ship, through every colony, through every world under human banners. A cheer rose, not of joy, but of victory. The cheer of a people who had carried the weight of extinction and turned it into fire. Far away, the Galactic Council sat in silence. The high chamber that once rang with voices now echoed with fear. The high speaker looked at the delegates, his crystal skin dim. "We threw everything at them," he said quietly. "Everything. And still they rise." No one answered. Some stared at their hands. Some avoided each other's eyes. For centuries, they had mocked humanity as a dead species. Now they faced the truth. A new empire had been born, one that no longer feared the council. The question now was not how to destroy the humans. The question was how to survive them. Whispers spread through the council hall. "We must negotiate." "No, they will never listen." "If we do nothing, they will take more systems." "If we fight again, we may lose everything." Fear divided them, just as it always had. And while they argued, humanity grew stronger. In the colonies, the people worked as never before. Shipyards expanded across moons, stations, and hidden asteroids. Factories burned with endless production. Every child was taught that they were the next guardians of humanity's rise. The banners of Earth, long thought lost, now flew across half a dozen star systems. Humanity had not only returned, it had carved its name into the stars with fire. One night, under the storms of the hidden world where it had all begun, the elders gathered in the great hall. Relics of the past still lined the walls, broken helmets, faded flags, fragments of Earth. They looked upon them now not with sorrow, but with pride. "Earth is gone," one elder said, "but humanity lives. We are not chained to the past. We are the future." Another spoke. "We could remain hidden, safe in our systems." Or the hall fell silent, waiting. "Or we can build an empire the galaxy will never forget." The decision was clear. The commander addressed his people in a broadcast that reached every ship and every colony. His figure, scarred by battle, yet unbroken, filled the screens. For centuries, they thought us extinct. They forgot our strength, our will, our fire. But we did not forget. We waited, we prepared, and now we rise. His voice sharpened. "We will not hide. We will not beg. We will not kneel. The galaxy belongs to those who dare to take it, and humanity will take it all." The people roared in answer, their voices united across worlds. "We rise." And so, the hidden colony that had once lived in silence now stood at the center of history. The galaxy trembled at its name. Systems fell one by one, not only through force, but through surrender worlds, choosing to join humanity rather than face its wrath. The Galactic Council, broken and divided, could only watch as their influence crumbled. The galaxy had entered a new age, not the age of the Council, not the age of the guilds, but the age of humanity. Asterisk.